Coffee and cigarettes. The neon diner sign cast a crimson glow on Amelia's face, illuminating the lines etched like canyons around her eyes. She held a cigarette between her fingers, the ember a defiant orange beacon against the encroaching dawn. The bitter tang of coffee mingled with the smoke, swirling in the air like ghosts of unspoken words. Sleep tasted like ashes in her mouth, and the city hummed a discordant symphony outside. Cars whooshed by, punctuated by the wail of sirens and the distant thump of bass. Amelia took another drag, the smoke burning down her throat like a memory she couldn't outrun. This diner, greasy spoon and haven for the sleepless, was where she found solace amidst the urban jungle. It was in this fluorescent-lit purgatory that she met him. The man walked in like a wisp of smoke, the aroma of stale cigarettes clinging to his tattered trench coat. His eyes, the color of a storm-brewing sky, met Amelia's across the chrome counter. A ghost of a smile danced on his lips, as fleeting as the steam rising from his mug. "Black, no sugar," he rasped, his voice gravelly yet strangely soothing. The waitress, a woman with eyes that held secrets and a mane of fiery red hair, slid him a cup without a word. He sat opposite Amelia, the space between them charged with unspoken questions. She offered him a cigarette, her hand steady despite the tremor in her heart. He accepted with a nod, lighting it with a Zippo that gleamed like a fallen star. "Sleepless night?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. Amelia shrugged, the ash from her cigarette cascading into her saucer. "Too much on my mind, not enough on my eyelids." The man chuckled, a dry, bitter sound. "You wouldn't be the first soul haunted by dawn in this city." They fell into a comfortable silence, their shared smoke forging an invisible bridge between them. The diner buzzed with life around them, but their world was contained within the porcelain circle of their coffee cups, a universe held together by the unspoken poetry of shared solitude. As the first rays of sun peeked through the grimy window, painting the coffee mugs a faint gold, the man spoke. His words were simple, tales of lost dreams and dusty roads, yet they painted vivid pictures in Amelia's mind. She, in turn, shared fragments of her own story, whispers of a past both beautiful and broken. Their conversation flowed like the coffee in their cups, bitter yet strangely sweet, punctuated by the rasp of matches and the soft click of tongues against teeth. In that small, greasy diner, under the watchful gaze of neon signs and weary strangers, two souls found solace in the shared rhythm of coffee and cigarettes. Days bled into each other, each sunrise finding Amelia and the man, whose name she learned was Leo, huddled in the corner booth of the diner. Their conversations deepened, venturing into the labyrinthine corridors of their pasts. Leo spoke of a nomadic life, chasing music and shadows across the country. His tales were laced with the grit of forgotten towns and the bittersweet tang of unfulfilled dreams. Amelia, in turn, revealed the scars of a love lost, a dream shattered by betrayal. The smoke they shared became a conduit, their vulnerabilities rising like wisps in the air, weaving a tapestry of shared understanding. They didn't judge each other's burdens, only offered the quiet comfort of a listening ear and a knowing nod. One cold morning, under the steely gaze of a rain-washed dawn, Leo confessed, "These streets hold ghosts for me, too. Echoes of a brother, lost to the same darkness that chased me here." His voice cracked, a raw vulnerability etched on his face. Amelia reached out, her fingers brushing his in a silent gesture of empathy. In that moment, their solitude ceased to be a cage and became a sanctuary, a shared haven against the storms of their pasts. The city slept fitfully, its neon dreams flickering under the weight of impending dawn. In the hushed corner of the diner, Amelia traced the rim of her coffee cup, her gaze lost in the swirling depths. Tears glistened on her lashes, reflecting the pale light filtering through the window. She spoke of him, her voice a tremor in the stillness. His name, a whisper against the clatter of spoons and the murmur of distant sirens, hung heavy in the air. His absence, a yawning chasm in her heart, resonated in the silence between their sips. Leo listened, his face a canvas of understanding. He didn't offer hollow platitudes or empty promises. He simply held her gaze, his presence a steady lighthouse in the stormy sea of her grief. When the first rays of sun painted the diner gold, a melody echoed from Leo's pocket. He pulled out a battered harmonica, his fingers gliding over the worn metal. The notes emerged, mournful yet hopeful, weaving a tapestry of shared sorrow and resilient spirit. The music filled the empty diner, washing over Amelia's grief like a wave of solace. In that moment, amidst the smell of coffee and stale cigarettes, a fragile beauty bloomed. Two wounded souls, finding solace in the shared language of loss and the music that dared to rise above it. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. The diner became their anchor, a place where the world outside faded into the haze of cigarette smoke and murmured conversations. Leo's music filled the mornings, chasing away the ghosts of the night. Amelia, in turn, discovered a voice she thought lost, sharing poems scribbled on napkins and whispered dreams over steaming cups. Yet, cracks began to show in the pavement of their shared solace. Amelia yearned for a sunrise not spent in a greasy spoon, for dreams chased beyond the neon glow of the diner's sign. Leo, haunted by his demons, struggled to face the shadows lurking just outside their oasis. One rain-soaked evening, the tension hung heavy in the air. Leo's harmonica remained silent, his fingers drumming a nervous rhythm against the worn tabletop. Amelia's poems lay crumpled in her pocket, the words unspoken accusations. "We can't stay here forever." Amelia's voice broke the silence, a tremor in her hand as she reached for a cigarette. Leo met her gaze, his eyes a storm brewing behind a thin veil of resignation. "Where do we go, when the only road we know leads back to this diner?" Their shared haven, built on coffee and cigarettes, seemed to crumble at the edge of unspoken truths. The question hung in the air, a challenge and a plea, waiting to be answered. The city slept restlessly beneath a blanket of stars. In the corner booth of the diner, a fragile truce had been formed. Amelia and Leo, their walls cracked but not shattered, sipped their coffee, the silence pregnant with unspoken dreams. "There's a sunrise festival tomorrow," Amelia offered, her voice tentative. "They say the light dances on the lake like 1,000 fireflies." Leo considered her words, the embers of his eyes flickering with doubt. And then what? Another cup of coffee, another cigarette, another day trapped in this neon cage. His question pierced the silence, but Amelia held his gaze, a spark of defiance igniting in her heart. Maybe sunrise can be more than just another dawn. Maybe it's a chance to paint our own sky, outside the walls of this diner. A slow smile tugged at Leo's lips. He reached for his harmonica, the worn metal gleaming in the soft light. "Then let's write our own symphony. Let the notes chase away the darkness and welcome the first kiss of day." Their resolve, fragile yet potent, hung in the air like the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. As the clock ticked towards dawn, two souls, bound by shared burdens and whispered dreams, dared to step out of the shadows and embrace the promise of a sunrise symphony. The festival grounds buzzed with the anticipation of dawn. Lanterns strung on bamboo poles cast whimsical shadows, and the air vibrated with the scent of incense and street food. Amelia and Leo, hand in hand, navigated the throngs of people, their steps tentative yet purposeful. The lake, cloaked in the velvet darkness of pre-dawn, awaited its luminous transformation. They found a spot on the grassy bank, settling among blankets and whispered conversations. Amelia's fingers tightened around Leo's as the first glimmer of light brushed the horizon. The sky exploded in a symphony of color. Gold bled into crimson, then lavender, the clouds ablaze with the brilliance of 1,000 brushstrokes. The stillness gave way to the gentle lapping of water and the murmur of hushed awe. Leo pulled out his harmonica, and a melody blossomed in the air, weaving through the whispers of wind and the chirping of awakening birds. It was a song of hesitant hope, of fears melting away like mist under the rising sun. Amelia, emboldened by the music and the magic of the dawn, reached into her pocket and unfolded a crumpled napkin. Her poem, whispered into the microphone, resonated with the emotions swirling around them. It spoke of broken dreams reborn, of shadows chased away by the light, of finding solace in the melody of shared struggles. The crowd was silent, captivated by the raw vulnerability of her words. As the last notes of Leo's harmonica faded, a ripple of applause rolled through the gathering. In that moment, under the radiant gaze of the newly born sun, they weren't just Amelia and Leo, lost souls in a greasy spoon. They were artists, painting their own futures with the vibrant hues of sunrise and the heartfelt chords of shared music. Days turned into weeks, the memory of the sunrise festival lingering like a whispered promise. Amelia and Leo still frequented the diner, but the aroma of coffee now mingled with the scent of possibility. Amelia landed a job at a bookstore, her days filled with the rustle of turning pages and the intoxicating scent of old paper. Leo, inspired by the festival, found solace in teaching music to underprivileged children, his harmonica weaving magic amongst the laughter and shouts in the dusty playground. One evening, after closing the bookstore, Amelia found Leo waiting for her under the neon glow of the diner's sign. He held out a cigarette, a single flame dancing in the dusk. They stood in silence, the unspoken questions hanging heavy between them. The familiar comfort of the diner was no longer a prison, but a crossroads. Their paths, once intertwined, were diverging, branching out into the unknown. Leo took a drag, the ember reflecting in his eyes. "This may be our last smoke in this booth," he rasped, a hint of sadness in his voice. Amelia met his gaze, a bittersweet smile playing on her lips. "Maybe," she said, "but the melody you gave me, the words we shared, they'll travel with me, far beyond these neon walls." The cigarette burned down to ash, a silent testament to their shared journey. As they walked away, the city lights blurring around them, they knew they weren't leaving everything behind. They were carrying the embers of hope, the echo of a sunrise symphony, into the uncertain but vibrant dance of their separate dawns. Months flowed by like leaves carried on the autumn breeze. Amelia's days were steeped in the scent of ink and paper, her world a symphony of whispered stories and turned pages. The bookstore became her haven, a refuge where she wove her own tales, drawing on the echoes of past conversations and the quiet melody of Leo's harmonica. Meanwhile, Leo's music echoed in children's laughter, each note a bridge between his haunted past and a hopeful future. His dusty harmonica, once a companion to solitude, became a beacon of joy, coaxing shy dreams from hesitant lips. In the dusty playground, amidst the echoes of childhood, he found a different kind of solace, a purpose etched in the wide, trusting eyes of his young students. Yet, their paths, though diverging, remained tethered by an invisible thread. On rain-swept afternoons, Amelia would catch a glimpse of Leo's weathered trench coat disappearing into the crowd, a melody clinging to the damp air like phantom smoke. And in the stillness of the night, Leo would strum his guitar, his fingers tracing the chords she once hummed, memories dancing in the moonlight. One winter evening, amidst the twinkling lights of Christmas, Amelia stumbled upon a flyer tucked amongst dusty tomes. A familiar name emblazoned in bold, Leo, Harmony in the Heart. Hesitantly, she followed the address, her heart drumming a hesitant rhythm against her ribs. A small building tucked away in a forgotten corner buzzed with the joyous cacophony of children's voices. Stepping inside, Amelia found Leo, his face lit by the glow of firelight, his harmonica weaving a spell amongst the chattering children. Their eyes met, a silent conversation bridging the months of separation. In that moment, amidst the melody of laughter and song, Amelia knew they weren't merely paths that crossed and diverged. They were constellations in the same sky, forever connected by the shared language of coffee and cigarettes, sunrise symphonies, and the whispers of unspoken dreams carried on the wind. Years painted the city in new hues. Amelia's bookstore had become a refuge for aspiring writers, the scent of coffee mingling with the ink of unpublished manuscripts. Leo's music school nurtured fledgling dreams, a chorus of young voices replacing the ghosts of his past. One sun-drenched afternoon, Leo found himself outside Amelia's bookstore, a battered guitar case slung over his shoulder. The door chimed as he entered, sunlight painting the shelves in warm gold. Amelia looked up, a smile blossoming on her face like a forgotten bloom. They didn't need words. The years whispered in the rustle of pages, the melody of life hummed in the quiet space between them. Leo settled on a stool, his guitar whispering forgotten lullabies as Amelia read poems scribbled on napkins, each word a shard of a shared past. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows in the bookstore, Leo's music and Amelia's words created a tapestry of memories. The ghosts in Leo's eyes had softened, replaced by the embers of hope nurtured by children's laughter. Amelia's smile lines were etched deeper, each one a testament to the stories she had lived, the dreams she had chased. They closed the bookstore as the city lights flickered awake, the familiar routine a comfort, a thread that still bound them to the neon glow of their first meeting. But beyond the diner's neon embrace lay a world painted in hues of their own making, a symphony composed of the whispers of shared dreams and the embers of a love that transcended words, coffee, and cigarettes.